We at Saptarishis Astrology are happy to have on board another very esteemed reader, Jillian from Australia. She has been doing readings for the last 37 years and studying Tarot, Western Astrology, and subsequently Vedic Astrology very passionately. Someone who believes on hand-on experimentation, has a diary log, a log of all her readers for the past 37 years, which is a wealth of information to dig deep into and to come up with number of readings. Today, we invite her humbly to share her experiences with us and tell us how she moved into this arena, what attracted her to move into the occult of tarot astrology, be it Vedic or Western.
Okay. I think when I was about 8 or 9, I was catching the buses to town, and I used to read the numbers on my bus ticket to see the numerology and if I would have a good day or not. And that was the first time I remembered being interested in anything like this. And when I was 13, I was moving into tarot card reading then, and then I had an intensive time of studying it in my early 20s and the astrology. And I was self-taught, and that was very hard because I lived in an isolated town where there was nobody to teach me, no books to be had at the local bookshop, and I would make some calculation mistakes for many months until I went to another town and had access to more information and realised. So it's very hard to be self-taught, but I would I'd write down the readings I did for people with the tarot, and I would do a carbon copy, and they would get a copy of the reading, and I would get a copy, and they'd ring me back and they'd say, this happened, and I might have had a few different meaning possibilities that could come, and so every time something worked, I ticked it. So, and I just sort of grew over the years with doing Western astrology, and then one time my mum and I had 2 months together where we embarked upon the very arduous journey of learning Vedic astrology. And that passion has been kept alive on and off over the years, and so my stronger talents lay in Western and tarot, but I love Vedic and try to incorporate them all from time to time. I've taught adult education for 9 years of both subjects. I've written weekly newspaper predictions on astrology for 3.5 years for the local paper. I've lectured in New Zealand 3 times. I've lectured in America at New Orleans in 1989. And I've been invited to lecture in Calcutta and went last year in 2015. And and I've got books to write on tarot. I've got 37 years worth of astrological diaries and charts to produce now. And that's an exciting journey because there's gems there. And and so I've done many consultations, and I've had rooms where people have come for readings, and I've had readings at home, and so now my focus is changing to do research and produce my work and write. That's about it. Well, thank you for joining me. I want to talk about the tarot. They have mixed origins and have spread through Europe and Asia many years ago. The tarot cards have 78 cards in the pack, and they have a meaning upright as well as reversed. And so that means you're looking at 156 possible meanings, and each card may have 2 to 10 meanings also, and you've got to sort out which meaning is appropriate to use. And the other bit of interesting thing is that the tarot is separated into 2 sections. One is the first 22 cards, and that's the major arcana, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a preview of them today. And the other 56 cards is where our normal playing pack, the 52 with the king and the queen and the jack and the 10 and the swords and things like that. And so the tarot has got the king and the queen and the knight and the knave. And in the normal playing card pack, they moved the knight and the knave into one and called him the jack. So this is where the playing cards come from.
Wow.
Okay. The first card is the Fool. Now, this fellow is not paying attention, and so there's a warning on that, is to keep your wits about you. And he is ready to make a decision in his life as to what way to go. And often it's a travel crossroads. So if there's any other travel cards in the reading, it'll confirm them. But if there's any other decision cards in the reading, it will confirm how important that decision is.
Wow.
And so once he's made up his mind, and this is a card of making up your mind, here's the new beginning, here's the fresh start. And he's got a strong mercurial aspect, that he's very multi-skilled, and he's got a strong determination. So it's a powerful Mercury, because it's like the New Year's resolution. He says, I am going to ... whatever it is that he's chosen to do. So new beginnings with determination. So if you want to lose weight, if you want to go to the gym, if you want to give up smoking, this is a card of determination that helps you carry that through. The High Priestess, sorry?
Jillian, a word about the Magician. So the Magician also teaches us, when we want to do an affirmation, we can always keep the Magician there and an affirmation, and that is how we relate to it, right?
Yes, yes, yes. And as above, so below. And you can actually see on his table, he's got the swords, the coins, the cups, and the baton. And so he can pick up any one of those and make it work for him. So he's multi-skilled, like a dexterous, and often manually with the hands, good with the hands too. One of the packs shows the guy as a cobbler, sewing and being creative. And another one shows him at the crossroads, and he's got a little bit of cunning there, and he's weighted the scales a bit so that he wins. So there's that trickster side of him as well.
And there is the sign of infinity above his head, which is there. What does that symbolize?
I haven't gone a lot into that,
Okay.
and it's beyond, getting into every picture in it is beyond the scope of what I want to show you today.
Okay.
That means I don't know.
Okay.
Apart from, I don't know what it means to have
infinity. The infinity incidentally means that he has the power of the universe. He has the knowledge of
as above, so below.
Yes.
Okay.
So he has a knowledge. He has all the knowledge in the universe. It's up to him what he wants to take up and what he wants to use.
Yeah.
That's all up to him.
Okay. We come to the High Priestess. She's very much in tune with the instincts, the gut feeling. And so it's a message when you get this card to listen to your intuition and don't be swayed by other people's expectations. Instead of thinking, I should do something, it's in my heart, do I really, really want to do it or not? And the other thing is that in a reading, she represents the female who's asking the question. And so does the Magician represent the male who's asking the question. The Empress card, she's the family female, and she's everything to do with home and family and the mother figure and having babies. And so we create a family, or we create a home, or we move home, or we renovate home on this card. And it's very much to do with the moon. It's got the Venus in the picture, and that's going to talk about the fertility also. The Emperor card, he's the family male, so he's the father, the brother, the uncle, the grandfather. Out in the community, he's the authority figure who would remind us of what our responsibilities are. So he's the boss, or the teacher, or the policeman. So he's got a lot of Saturnian authority with him. There's Mars and Aries on that too. In some of them, you'll see on his throne that he's got the picture of the sheep's head. I can't see that here. But he's got the Owl of Wisdom sitting up here too. So he's quite an established male in his own right. And he would represent, like the kings do, more the mature male who is over 30 rather than under 30. And if not, then he's mature if he's not old. He's wise when he's young. The Pope or the Hierophant, the one I want to focus on are the two bottom ones, where you can see the people gathering around listening to what this man has to say. So there's this transmission of knowledge and wisdom and information back and forth from one to the other. Now, this can happen at a religious level in the church. It's also about the laws of the land. It's got a strong ninth house flavour because the whole Sagittarian thing about religion can come up. But teaching
and it's also about institutions and codifications, right? It's also about codification of things, putting them into established forms, giving an established form, right?
Yes. And I love the way these people are sitting there listening to his stories.
So it means somebody who's well known in his field. If it comes up in a reading, we know is somebody who's well known and a figure, authoritative, institutional figure who's well known to dispense with the knowledge of that with authority, right?
Absolutely. Now, in the top card, you can see him with his scroll hiding in the cave, and that scroll is this book of wisdom that he can share that information, so it can be valuable or sacred knowledge.
Right.
Now we come to the Lovers card. There's a few different pictures for this pack, and the common one that you'll see is a man having to choose between two women, and he has to make a decision about this one or that one. And what can happen there is that it's a Mercury thing, but it's a moral decision about doing the right thing. Shall I stay with my wife or take the lover? Do I have this girl or that girl? And so it's often a moral or ethical decision that has to be made. But at another level, it's very Venus-Mars. It's very passionate. It's about having an intimate relationship. So that's a nice card. Now, we come to the Chariot, and in many packs you'll see the horses or the animals leading the chariot, one black, one white, one pulling off in that direction, one pulling off in the other direction. And so where life may have unsettled and conflicting energies for us to deal with, it allows us to keep on track and cope. And there's a lot of power with this card, and you can see it particularly in this picture. If life it's the journey of the soul through life, and whatever life throws at you, you're able to handle it. So if there's a pothole in the road or a detour, it's your ability to cope. And it's also a travel card, and it's about transport. So if you've got a purchase spending money card next to the Chariot, you're either buying travel tickets or a car. Now, the Justice card is legal aspects of money matters with good outcome. It's number 8 card. Now, in some packs, you'll see that they swap number 8 with number 11, and they'll put the Strength card here at this 8th position. And But I feel that as it's like Saturn exalted in Libra here. You've got the legal system in play and the scales of balance and fairness, and so it's very much the 8 card, the Saturn card, I believe. So it means that if you're going to court or if you're doing any business, it doesn't have to be legal, but every official business thing actually gets backed up legally because you've signed on the dotted line, and it can be empowered. And what's the word? Think of the word for me. Anyway, so we're talking 2nd and 8th house.
Yeah.
We're talking money. We're talking 9th house for legality. Now, if you get the combination of Jupiter, Saturn, that's about two opposing forces wanting extreme opposite things. One wants to grow and one wants to be frugal and constrict. And so but it's also a money combination, Jupiter, Saturn. If by progressions you see it, you'll often see some important financial activity happening. And, of course, the Libra comes into it. This is a cute little card about the Hermit. Most of the packs will show this elderly man with the long beard with the mountains in the backdrop. And here he is, the Hermit shell. and he's reading. It's a great little picture.
That's a very cute one.
That light, it enlightens us because we receive advice and guidance and wisdom from somebody who knows more than we do. So it's our own teaching or learning or involvement with education. And as I said, in the other packs, they've got the range of mountains in the long distance because that's where you usually have to travel to and make some pilgrimage to find the wise man. So it's like going to Mecca. So the journey can be your own journey to Mecca or actually a travel card. Now, if there's other travel cards like the Chariot that we had earlier in the pack next to the Hermit, which is very Sagittarian 9th house, then you're going to be doing some travel. But
as well, the Fool, you mentioned.
The Fool has got the travel crossroads, but I'd prefer a stronger travel card with him before I said it was travel.
All right.
This comes in at its first level at the learning and the advice from somebody seeking out the wise specialist, somebody who's got more experience than we do about something. And so he's often the financial specialist or the medical specialist. So there's this Virgo that comes on, and the 2nd, 8th house and the 6th house. So there's a health money thing. And so people often go and see their doctor on this card. Not at a worrying level, but that we need to seek guidance and advice. Now, the wheel's a bit of fun. It's movement, change of surroundings. And this will certainly confirm any other travel card that's in the spread. But also, if we look at the very first card, this is in the Mythic Tarot, and it's the 3 fates, or the 3 morai, I think you say it. M-O-R-A-I-E. Now, the fate is that we don't breathe a second less or longer than is meted out or fated for us. And so this picture of these girls is, one is unraveling the twine, one is measuring it, and one is cutting it. And so it says, especially if it's next to some other important card, that the thing that's happening now around you is fated. If your dog dies now or your mother dies now, it's fated. If you change job now or there's an overseas trip now, it's fated. But we won't bring out the fate side of that unless it's got some other heavy-duty cards with it to say this was meant to be, it's destined.
Yes,
but it's...
Inge has a question for you, Jillian.
Yes. So could we think about the Trinity of Gods as well in this first card, like Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva.
Mahesh. Yes, beautiful.
So it is.
I don't know. I don't know anything about that, but it's interesting that you see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is in synchronicity with what you are saying, because Brahma is supposed to generate, Vishnu is supposed to sustain, and Shiva is supposed to destroy. Cut.
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't know that. That's exciting.
Yeah, it's the concept of Trinity, where one is the creator, the second is the sustainer, and the third is the destroyer, so that the creation can come in again. So and it's a cyclical in nature. That's
yes.
It's an important card, and I didn't want to mention too much Western astrology in this, but it is my understanding that the outer planets are strong in some of these cards, such as the Fool, crossroads in your life, and such as the Wheel and the Death card that we will get to. And because I've studied this for so long, I've seen it happen with Pluto transits or Uranus transits to the angles and the Sun and the Moon regularly when these powerful cards come up. Okay, now we come to the Strength card. And strength isn't just our physical health, it's our mental health. And so it's our confidence and our ego and our self-esteem. And sometimes we can lack confidence and doubt who we are. And so this is a card that says you will come back up to good health mentally and physically when this card comes up, if you're not already. The other thing is it's courage, and you can see her fighting the tiger in the bottom right-hand picture. But it also will strengthen, if it's next to a travel card, if it's next to, say it was next to the Empress and she's looking pregnant with her big dress on, that strengthens very much the opportunity of there being a new birth in the family. Or it strengthens the impact upon you, say, of your contact with the family female, whoever she may be.
Yeah, one of them is the Crowley one, right?
The Crowley one is at the top right, yes.
Yes. And he has a contradictory meaning, sort of. He called it the lust.
The lust. Yes. But let's go to the sun and say, I am so confident that I don't mind if you see me naked. Hey, look at me. And so it can be at another level of confidence to express yourself without worry for
any inhibition, without any inhibition.
Yes. Well, yes,
it's the confidence that comes from within.
Yes, but I generally see it as a good card for your health, and people will often ask about their health, and as you know, it's very it's a comforting card if it's next to another card, because it strengthens the impact of that in a positive way.
First house also is body, yeah?
Oh yes, the ascendant. It's all about your body. Yes. Yeah. And so this card really is also going to relate not only to the sun and the first house, but to the sixth house of health and illness.
Right. Yes. And the fifth house probably too, yeah?
Yeah, because of the confidence and the, yes.
And the sun.
Because she said it. Yes, the sun.
Yes.
So, yes.
Now, this is the interesting one that I wanted to tell you about. Yeah. The Hanged Man is a 12th house card. This is where we take the necessary step back away from life's stresses, whatever those stresses are to us. It's where we need to rest, retreat, sleep, recharge our batteries. And so it looks like on the surface that he's hanging around and nothing's happening and all is dead and gone. But I want you to focus on this bottom card with the yellow aura around his head. It says that not all is dead and gone. It's very alive and well, thank you very much. So it's about getting in touch with our spiritual side, or the mercurial nature of it is the brainstorming. And it's very alive and well, thank you very much. But it's the ideas stage, it's the planning stage. And when we come to the death card, which is the next card, if the Hanged Man relates to the 12th house, where we go within and we sort out what we want to do and our outlook about our life and where we belong in it, we come into the first house and the death card's ready to make the change and put into implementation the plans that we had been thinking of, and then we make them happen. So what I wanted to say, in the derived houses, I got this card on my first house. Now, the first house is the 8th house of death from the 6th house of the dog. So if we count round from the 6th, right round to the 1st, that's your animal's house of death and surgery. And I got this bottom card where you can see the yellow around the fellow's head. And I said, although it looks like all is dead and gone around your animal, there's very much still with you in spirit. And this gave me great comfort, because I'd done a lot of grieving about losing 2 elderly dogs in 2 years. And the other thing that happened was I didn't want to get another dog, logically, but my heart wanted another one, and I wasn't ready, and I was grieving. And so my beloved older dog came to me in a number of visions. And then when I got the new dog, I still couldn't embrace her totally straight away, because I was grieving for the other one. And he came back in 2 more visions. And with this dog here, Tessie, on the bed, and showed me that it was okay. So that was greatly comforting. Excuse me, press pause.
So this was the card you were talking about, right?
That's
So
the
this was the
card.
card.
Yes,
The
so
Hanged Man was the card you were talking about, which you got emotional about, and okay, so that's the one that came up in your reading.
yes, and it meant so much, and it was a card with strong. It was very potent to get that card in that house because I had been seeing. I had been seeing my dog, but he came back twice to give the okay.
Reaffirm you. Yes. To console you. Yes. To make you more stronger and to make you realize, please let go.
Let go.
Yeah, this is
All
also,
about-
I feel, it is a card of great surrender.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's interesting. Now, we come back to that. You've got the Crowley pack on the top right, and you can almost, there was another meaning, another layer of meaning on this card, and that was that he was a bit stretched out, and there was all that mesh in the background you can see. I got an impression that we were being vetted before we could get through to the goal that we were desiring. It was like there was interference.
Definitely, we have to. And hanging implements, you can't do anything.
Yes.
Willingly.
Except observe. And then you observe it from a different angle, from a different point of view. So, yeah, witness, yes.
Yeah.
Witness is the right word.
Now, we come to the Death card. I quite like the Death card. It's got lots of interesting pictures with it. But I chose this one because I wanted to focus on the horse and his front leg. You can see, and in Western astrology, it ties in with Pluto because Pluto brings in things over the long period. It's a very slow-moving planet, and it's gradual. And so this horse is moving away from the past into the future. Now, he doesn't know where he's going to get in the future, but so we're coming to the Death card, and the horse's front foot is going to change from the current situation and move into new ground. And he'll have to balance himself with all 4 feet into a new situation, and it will take a little while. But it's major changing circumstances, and it adds impact to whatever it's next to. And it's, I have to say, it's like Pluto going to your sun, moon, or your angles, your midheaven or your ascendant, often when this card comes up. Now, so there's another card, and it shows the Death figure, but he's holding a scythe, and there's 2 handles on the scythe for him to cut the grass with. And so he's hanging on with such a firm grip. I'm feeling that there's a lot of life still in, so he's not, when you see the Death card, it's not necessarily a death, but it's a change of phase in your life, or a change into a new chapter. Now, if it was next to a travel card, you may well have a VIP trip. It's not just a holiday trip. You'd go for a particular reason, or it'd be very important to you. So it doesn't have to be a bad card, but you'll get a lot of information by what it's next to. And don't forget what it's looking at. Now, you can see, here's my finger trying to point at the screen. See where his eyes are looking to. They're looking down and to the right. Often in the court cards, the kings and the queens and the pages and so on, they will be looking in a direction and give you an idea of where their energy is being applied also. Okay. Now,
also with the Death, can we go one time back? I find it very interesting that all are looking somewhere else, but this child, the small one down, is looking straight up. So the innocence of us. Yeah.
Now, in the Crowley pack, I believe it is, they've got, of the Death card, they've got a lot of sperm and fetus figures, and it's about the new life. And we don't know what that new life is going to be, what form it's going to take. It's like moving interstate or overseas. You know you're making a big change, you've got an idea of the future that you're going to, but you don't know the details till you actually get there and move into a house and find out what's in your neighbourhood and what opportunities are available. So the death card with the baby or with the fetus figure in the Crowley pack suggests that there is new life ahead, even though it's not fully developed or formulated yet.
And it also shows, yes, it also shows, Jillian, correct me if I'm wrong, but it also shows that, like Inge, I believe, has been trying to say, that the inner self is not afraid of death. It can look right at it in the face without any fear or trepidation. It is just who have evolved and who have started associating themselves with the body.
That's nice. I haven't heard that view on it before, but that's lovely, actually. Because a lot of people are afraid when they see the death card.
Of course.
Yes, yes. So I've got to explain to them, and this is where this Pluto comes in. It's VIP. It adds impact, and it makes very important the thing that the death card is looking at or sitting next to in the spread. Now, the Temperance card. You'll see 1 foot on the earth and 1 foot in the water, and trying to get the balance of the water between the jugs. Now, it's the attraction of opposites, yin yang, male, female, positive, negative. And so the attraction of opposites is also about relationships. And so it's a good card that I see brings in romantic relationships for people, other than the Lovers card. The other thing about it is that there's a Libra energy on it, which is all about the harmony that people have. There's a blend, there's a balance, and people get things where they can work in like teamwork, a spirit of cooperation. But the other interesting thing on it is that there's some Sagittarius on this card, and the attraction of opposites will be country boy, city girl, or a foreign man, or a traveller, or anything under the umbrella of Sagittarius. So there'll often be an attraction to an opposite culture or an opposite lifestyle in terms of the romantic partner. Now,
one more point.
Yeah?
Please excuse me, Jillian. I'm stopping you again and again.
No, this is good.
Thank you. In this regard, I find the one right on top is implementing one alchemy, yeah?
Alchemy,
yes. Yes, mixing together two different ingredients.
Yes, yes.
And under the fire, I think it will have an axis of of Scorpio and Taurus.
I'm not familiar with the, was it an asteroid? Palos? Who did you say?
I say,
yeah.
What you understood?
She's saying that because of the alchemy bit of it, okay,
yes.
Because of the alchemy bit of it, could it be the introduction of Scorpio and Taurus that could be working here?
I hadn't thought about that, but
okay.
it is the attraction of opposites and having to blend opposites together, because it's yin-yang, male-female, opposites attract. And at another level, when I see that Crowley pack, it's like there's this cauldron of cooking, and I say, what's cooking? What are you cooking up? What are you planning? Also, it can be literally cooking, but it can also be
yes.
What are you planning to do? Because you're cooking up some scheme or idea.
Yeah.
So I think this is when your intuition comes into play, that you're able to add things to the standard meanings.
Yes.
Or now, transformation even.
Yes, because it's merging into one.
Yes.
Yes. But that's...
So the scorpion does come into play, right, Jillian? So the scorpion bit does come into play where transformation does take place.
Yes. Balancing things evenly and smoothly.
Yeah.
So it all goes well.
Yeah, so it's from one side to the other, it's just flowing. Again, it's just a flow from Libra to Scorpio. The balances to the transformation, from balancing the ingredients properly and then into transformation.
Yes, absolutely. The devil, I like the devil card. He's got a bad reputation though. You'll see pictures of a couple tied by chains to the devil, Or in the mythic pack, I think he's playing the panpipes and these people are dancing to his tune, so to speak. But I don't usually see it work that negatively, although it has the ability to. But what's most important is where this star comes to the third eye on his forehead, I've taken that as that we become one-eyed or very goal-oriented or ambitious or focused on one thing. And it's Saturn with Mercury. Saturn is very clear. I also think it's Pluto with Mercury, but Saturn with Mercury will be focused and thorough and stay on track. And this is very good for business, you see, because you've got a goal. You've got a goal on this card. But the negative side of it can come out and you can get depressed, say like Saturn, Mercury can be negative thinking, but particularly Saturn Moon. Saturn Moon can be a depression at a time. And so this card can go either way, depending on who it's with, who it's looking at, who's looking at it. The Tower's interesting.
Could it, please excuse me, could it have a combination with Rahu as well? Like,
Well, absolutely. And I don't know enough about Rahu to say that confidently.
All right.
But absolutely, I know he tends to have a bit of a dark side.
Well, Rahu will push also, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Rahu is
Yes.
Rahu is that determined to the border of being obsessive. Like you said, goal determination, single pointed focus.
Yes. Right.
So
As soon as you say the word obsessive, I want to go back to Pluto. And I did say Pluto to Mercury as well as Saturn to Mercury. And of course, the negative side of this is the drugs and the underworld and the sex trade and crime and all of those things. But in general, when I've done readings over the years, I haven't had perhaps a lot of individuals who were going to have a whole lot of negativity at that level for me to learn about how it works. And so I do feel it's very goal-oriented in a positive way. It's Saturn-Mercury, and it can lead to negative thinking with Saturn-Mercury or Saturn to the Moon.
Certain cunningness will be involved, I believe.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So I've put on the slide negative thinking or activities, and that covers a lot.
Yes, it does.
Okay. We get to the Tower card, and there are other packs, but I like this picture. It's from one of my Eastern packs, I think. And you'll see the lightning strike the tower, and then the fire breaks out. And one's a stone structure, and it crumbles. And so it's very Uranus lightning, Mars. So it's very upset. So it's sudden shocks and upsets, and it can be quite negative. And in all of these years, I've only seen one that I remember, and somebody had a car accident. But I've never seen it work really bad. What I have seen is that once you've fallen out of that structure, you brush yourself off, pick yourself up, and you say, well, where am I going to live now? And so you have to go and have a change of roof overhead. And one of the other packs will show all the eyes, and that's the awakener. Now, I don't know that in the cartouche there's not one with this big eye of the awakener. Does anybody recall that?
No.
Anyway, so the shake-up is, if you imagine at spring cleaning time, we shake up the doona and we shake up the blankets. This is where we're going to shake up in our life. And it tends to happen through the change of roof overhead by moving. I actually renovated my roof on this card, literally, but it also will tie in with any travel cards. And it will force you to deal with new and different circumstances, but it doesn't have to be that challenging. Now, if you've got a very bad card next to this, some negative adjective cards, it would perhaps bring out the negative side of it. But at the
If
first
we have a 5 of Pentacles next to it, if we have
well,
5 of
some
Pentacles,
shocks and upsets around money.
money, yes. So
Yes.
yes. And if we have a Six of Wands, that means that a Six of Baton. That
Yes.
means we are going to move abroad or go and get some work done in some manner, such that our potential will come to the forefront and we are going to get some name and fame.
Right. Well, with the Six of Batons, that's that publicity and reputation and acknowledgement that you get. And it's wonderful for career. It's very 10th house, like Jupiter in the 10th house. And if you had that next to the Tower card, and there's others that don't look so unfortunate as this picture, that means that you would have a career change, or you may move premises, or there'd be some sudden shake-up, or new management might take over, or there could be some travel, like you said, through the career. So basically, there's some change of scenery through a house move or travel on that card, and you'll get a clue by what it's next to.
Plus the sum total of the card, it is a 16, yeah?
The Tower card, yes.
Yes, so the sum total comes to 7.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which is the Chariot.
Yes. So on the move.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good connection. Yes, good connection. Look, I have to say, just as we talk about the Tower, that I'm doing. I've done a thing about every year of your life till 108, how the astrology, tarot, and numerology all function at that time. And of course, the child, who's a 16-year-old child, is under the influence of the Tower card. And a lot of kids have travel, they travel overseas, and they have accidents that I've noticed. And I'm only looking at this from out of the newspaper. And I look at the ages of when people have an event. And often the teenager is, I'm going to say it's a strong Uranus energy and Mars Uranus, and that's accident and surgery prone. And so the Tower is unsettling, it'll bring movement, but I think you have to tread carefully at this time when the Tower card is important. And so then we're going to do 16 and 32 and 48, and this card is always going to be working.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's
so beautiful.
a card.
Yeah, Jillian, could it also be that at 16, the hormones are kicking loud and wide? So they are also into a very strong transformation mode. They're into a very strong mode of dislocation from the old and moving into a new territory.
Yes, and the parents are going to see them as erratic instead of stable and restless. And the Uranian Mars Uranus, it's very independent. It's the rebellious teenager. Thanks, but no thanks. I'll do it myself. I'll do it my own way, and I'll do what I want to do, and don't you tell me what to do. So this card, for people who are 16, is one where you perhaps need to hold their hand to keep them a bit steady, just to steady them a little bit, because there's so much excitement on offer. But they could as easily do the drug overdose on this card and get into bad company. But as a rule, I haven't seen the card to be a bad card, but I'm more aware of when you're 16 and 32 and 48, and so on, how that will bring the change of roof or the travel or the destabilizing of the current situation. So it's a restless card.
Thank you for warning us beforehand. We are all parents of teenagers, and thank you for warning us beforehand.
We come to the star. I have spent so much more time on this than I was intending to, but I feel better now. The star is like the rosebud. You know how the rosebud blossoms out and opens out, and that's what life does for us when we get the star card. And so we widen our horizons physically or mentally, so either through learning or travel and new ideas and new information, whether we go to school or we teach ourselves out of a book. It's an opening out, it's a blossoming in our life, and it's a lovely card. And in the Mythic card, which is the first one at the top, I think this is Pandora's box.
Pandora's box, yes.
Yeah. And she couldn't resist. She had to have a look in this bloody box. And out came all the sprites and furies, and the only thing left was this fairy of hope. And it was hope for a brighter future. So it very much ties in with Jupiter, Sagittarius, and the 9th house. There's a lovely card, and so it's a travel card. Now, if I had that next to the Chariot, there's definitely a long journey. And if I had it next to the Hermit, because he learns, and you've got to make the pilgrimage to the mountains to get to him in the first place, then the star is going to go both. It's going to complement both. It's going to complement learning with the Hermit, and it's going to complement travel.
It could also mean the enlightenment with your Hermit.
Absolutely.
The enlightenment, the knowledge.
The knowledge. Yes. Yes.
And with the Fool also it could mean that the Fool is on the right path. He's on the very right path because he's got so much to gather. If the Star is a very satisfying kind of a card, so it would...
It's a lovely card. It's a lovely card. And do you like the pretty picture at the bottom on the right with the butterflies?
Yes.
Yes.
Somehow,
That's called the Millennium Tarot, and it's only the major arcana.
yes. The major arcana, Jillian, please correct me, is somehow the travel of the Fool, yeah?
Yes, and I'm not particularly good to tell you about the journey of the soul on each level there, but he's got his journey. He has to learn the laws of the land. He has to make a moral or ethical decision along the way, and so on. But no, I don't have that information as
this stage occurs after the destruction, yeah? So there is always hope.
Hope, yes.
And peace.
Yeah?
The peace.
Yes, because we've had the Tower of Destruction.
Right.
And there's your hope for a brighter future.
Yes.
Yes.
New beginnings.
Right? Now, we come to the Moon, and I call it my comfort card because people get worried and anxious and fearful. And there's a little saying in the Bible, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil." And I want you to know how comforting this card is, that we worry and we see the shadows moving in the dark, and we fear and we're anxious. And I have to say it this way: what you fear is never, 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 never as bad as you fear. And it's true. No, you mark my words. One lady was a nurse, and she got breast cancer, and she rang me up, and she thought the worst. She thought that the cancer would have spread everywhere and that she would die. And I said, no, you probably get your lymph nodes out under your arm, but it's not as bad as you fear. And it wasn't. So I gave her great comfort at that moment. Now, it's got, I want to come down now to the, just to continue there, confusion and deception can come on this card. I don't see it very often, but it has got a strong Neptune to it where with the outer planet you can be easily deceived and be involved with drugs and alcohol and not have any strong focus and not be paying enough attention.
Hallucination.
Hallucination. Yes. But as a rule, I haven't seen the negative side of this very much. So I want you to come down to the bottom right-hand corner now, and that is the long journey. Now, it's the journey of the soul through the night, and it's to comfort you that things aren't as bad as you imagine. But it's a journey halfway across the world. Bums on seats travelling time, it can take you the better part of all day to get there. Now, if you're travelling on the train through India or driving around Australia, it's a long trip. And, you know, as far as you're going one day, that's a long time to be sitting there travelling. But also, this one gets you halfway around the world. So this is the very long-distant journey, but don't be afraid also. Now, this will certainly come in now with the Fool card, because this is a strong travel card and it's a long-distance travel card. And so the Fool, so in the Hindu chart, that would be the 12th house of remote and faraway places. In the Western part and the Hindu, it would be the 9th house. So it's a long journey. Now, Jupiter in the 9th house. Okay, so it's a comfort card and it's a travel card. And depending what else is negative or positive next to it will help us decide which. Say this was next to the Devil card and there was another negative adjective card next to the Devil card. Well,
So
then,
what if it was with the Knave of Swords? What?
yeah, look, I'm not so worried about him he doesn't have to be negative, but I'm thinking if you had some other negative cards, that could bring out the drugs and the alcohol and stepping off the garden path into trouble or drug dealing, and maybe some combination of that with the Devil, but I'd still want something else with it. Because if you, at another level, if you look, the Devil with his strong focus could have Moon a very spiritual focus, because the Moon card is ruled by Neptune, which is drugs and alcohol and imagery and painting and surfing and art and the water and music and inner creativity. So they've got many layers.
So in the Vedic astrology, can we use it instead of Neptune? Can we also associate it with the Moon itself? You know, the Moon itself, because Moon is creative, Moon is dreamy, Moon is also traveling, because Moon is the fastest traveler after the Lagna.
Oh, well said. And especially in the water signs. Yes,
in the water signs. Yes, Inge.
Plus the 4th house, probably, yeah? So
yeah, the dreaming bit. Sorry.
Yeah, the 4th house in matters of affliction or non-affliction. So, like...
Yeah.
If that card sat in the 4th house, you'd be having travellers to your home. Or you'd move house really long distance, not just close. You'd move interstate or overseas.
Okay.
Okay. Now, the Sun card, it's a very sweet card. It's the union of souls, and you can see on the top right in the Crowley pack, it's all very yellow, and you can see the couple are dancing for joy to be in each other's company. They belong. It's a little bit like soulmates. We belong. And so this is where there are happy reunions, people happy to be in each other's company. So it's like Jupiter going over to your Moon and Venus, and very happy gatherings, but it's another romance card. So we've now got the Lovers card, we've got the Temperance card, and we've got the Sun card, which can tell us about our romantic relationships. And believe me, everybody wants to hear about that. So I don't know if everybody, it's got all of its other happy prospective things. And of course, in the Mythic pack, you can see he's got his musical instruments there. But basically, and it can represent the children, the Sun, the 5th house, the children, and the gay times. So it's a very lovely card, but particularly I see it as happy reunions. Now, I'm saying that Jupiter going to your Moon or Venus will bring this along, but perhaps to make it more important, because Jupiter moves pretty quickly through, it doesn't stay over your Moon or Venus very long before it's moved on, once every 12 years. So I think it's more like, to make it the important reunion, it's like a progressed Jupiter, which is valid for the year during, before and after. But the other thing in Western astrology, and you'll hate to hear this, but your Rahu in Western astrology hasn't got the bad rap that it has in Indian astrology. It's got the name of the North Node. And the North Node, amongst other things, amongst fate and destiny and timing, it represents relationships. And so when the transit of the North Node goes to your Moon or Venus, this is the reunion you're going to have. And you can take that to the bank. I've got 37 years worth of astrological diaries showing how the North Node works with relationships. And this card reminds me of that. So that's a challenge. That's a challenge. But anyway, it's a happy card. What happens is you'll find them making the comment that there's a marriage or divorce when progressed Mars goes to progressed node, or solar arc node goes to solar arc Mars, or something like that. And so it's been recognized a long time that it has got something to do with relationships.
Wow.
But so that is going to be confronting to the Indian astrologers to hear, and it's something that you'll come to. You don't really, you come to it or you don't, but you can test it.
Rahu is an amplifier, right?
Right?
Yeah,
So
it
it will amplify.
yeah.
It will amplify, if it goes to your moon or your Venus, happy, charming gatherings with people.
Yeah. Rahu
Okay.
does in Vedic astrology. Rahu also influences, love affairs, and especially affair outside the religion. That's what it is. Anuradha, correct me if I'm wrong in saying.
Outside religion.
Yeah.
Yes.
Your
Outside
voice.
your own religion.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay.
Outside your own
Not the
community.
So it's controversial.
Yes.
Yeah.
For
The traditions. Yeah. Anuradha,
It breaks the barriers.
barrier. Yeah.
The norm set by society,
yeah.
Rahu
Yes.
is all bullheaded enough to break it and has the strength to break it. It has
And
the strength.
that reminds me of the Tower card, because from my understanding, Rahu has a lot of the qualities that we give to Uranus in Western astrology.
Yes,
Yes.
it does.
Outside
Yeah.
of the boundaries, Pluto will go outside of the boundaries, but Uranus is more independent and with attitude and individual, and the Rahu can be controversial like the Uranus can.
Pluto has more of that of Ketu. Ketu works on a very individualistic level where it works on you specifically, not on others around you, but you.
Ah,
And Rahu is the one which does it on the outside. What happens to you also influences others around you. So that has been my observation.
That's true.
So
that's good to hear.
Inge and Vittal, please do give in your views also.
No, I agree. I agree with that. Yes.
agree.
Yes.
Okay, so the Judgment card, number 20 card, a lot of them will show that the people being called to heaven and rising from the graves, and
Yes.
that doesn't worry me so much, but it's because it's about an ending, and it's a happy ending, and unless it had some very negative card next to it to say that the ending doesn't turn out well, but I haven't seen that very often. So the example I give to people is that, say you go to university for 4 or 6 years. It's the justified pleasure of achievement when you've finished and you've got your degree and you've passed. And so it's a happy ending, a well-deserved ending through of your achievements.
Yeah.
And
The kind of hard work that you have put in will also be the reflection of it would also show. I mean, the kind of achievements that you've. So Judgment card does play a role here because subsequent efforts, and then you are judged. Yeah.
Yes, and you do well in that judgment. You do well. And the other thing about that is that whatever card, this is sort of as a free-floating card, that whatever it's next to will tell you where the achievement or happiness is. So if it's next to a travel card, you'll be very happy. If it's next to the Empress card where the lady's pregnant, and say she's not having a happy pregnancy, and you get the Judgment card next to it, you'll be happy about the way it turns out. It says, don't worry, you might be being with the morning sickness and not well, but it will be all right in the end. So that at some level can be a bit of a comfort card. If you moved house, if you started a new job and you got the Judgment card, you'd be very happy about the result. Now, the World card, this is that Millennium Tarot pack again. She's quite vibrant. Other World cards, you'll see a couple not looking so happy, enclosed in a wreath format. So when you've finished university, what you do is you go home, or you have a gap year, or travel the world, or have a break. And so this is what you do after the Judgment card. Something has come to a close, and now it's time to move on and make some kind of change. So it's a very strong travel card to me. And of course, the next card that comes back is repeating the cycle of going back to the Fool card again. And where did he go? Anyway, he went back. So the Fool card they call as number 0 card before number 1 of the Magician, or they call it number 22 card. So this girl is fast approaching the crossroads in her life again. Having got her degree, she's going to take a moment to look around, see what's happening and see what's available, and then she'll arrive at that new crossroads in her life about what kind of work she wants to get with her new degree. But this is a lovely card. It would enhance the Fool card where I said you're at a travel crossroads. Now, there's a little Indian pack of cards, and it's got a witch-like figure with her raven or crow studying a little globe of the world, and they're looking to see where they're going, where their next trip is to. So this would bring out the Chariot card, it would bring out the Hermit card, it would bring out the Star card, complementing all of their travel natures and reinforcing the travel message. Okay.
It is a sort of a completion also, no? Something is complete, one cycle.
Well, we've completed that cycle already in the previous card. We've we've come to the finish. We've completed, and so this is after the completion.
All right.
And that rings a bell that I can remember. Card 20 and card 21 sometimes used to be transposed in each other's place, and I remember that from long time ago. But that's the end of the cycle. It turns out well, and that's moving on away now from what we've completed, moving on into the future, and it's very likely through travel.
Yeah, now you're right.
Card. That was a transit card, right? It was a card where somebody has completed a cycle and is waiting for the next cycle to start. So it's an interim card. The world is the interim card for you.
Yes, but you will travel on this card. And now, the other way that we have to mention travel is if you don't actually take the trip, you can be in contact with people and places from a distance. So travellers can come to you, you can travel, and of course today we have the internet. And what we're doing all here right now is increase contact with people and places at a distance, whether we actually travel there to them in physical time or whether we travel through electronic media.
Yes.
We'd like you from the bottom of all of our hearts and minds to introduce a full new vision, combine all the possibilities, because there are so many roads to Rome, we say, but in the end, they all reach to the same point.
Yes.
And you have given us a beautiful overview of your findings, let's say. And we are indeed very grateful to you, Jillian, today.
Thank you.
To give us this new horizon.
It's been my absolute pleasure to share, because it's such exciting information and techniques that needs to be shared. And you've given me a way to do that. And thank you. Thank you all.
Yes.
It is very exciting. And I'm sure the audience as well, all the YouTube channel visitors will be greatly excited. And they please post their comments and their question upon your findings. So we might have another meeting and can clear those questions at hand.
Yes.
Yeah?
No, I would be delighted.
That would be very, very interesting as well. So thank you, Jillian, in the name of all the Saptarishis group, and we hope to welcome you back.
Yes.
Thank you.
Soon.
Yes.
Thank you
so
all.
much
It's been
for
a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. Namaste.
Thank you.
Indeed.
Namaste.
Thank
pleasure.
you. Thank you. Okay.